The objective of this video tutorial is to provide an overview of how to extract an unedited portion of video for edTPA submission. It is your responsibility to follow the guidelines and specifications found in your edTPA handbook, as this is the official document produced for edTPA candidates. You will need to clip your video to the specifications outlined by Pearson in your edTPA handbook. You will want to keep your edTPA handbook near you, as you will likely want to refer to it frequently. Each area has specific guidelines to follow with regard to the number of files to submit, as well as the length of video to submit. Refer to your edTPA handbook for official information regarding all aspects of your edTPA, including video guidelines and specifications, as well as content requirements. If you have any additional questions or concerns regarding the edTPA, discuss them with your instructor as soon as possible. The edTPA is a detailed and timely assessment, and you do not want to waste time with unanswered questions. The following slides briefly review some of the information found in the edTPA handbook and Making Good Choices, a support guide for edTPA candidates. You should have a copy of both of these documents, and if you need an additional copy, contact your instructor. The major focus of your instruction should be on demonstrating your knowledge about your students and how you support their learning. Let's look for a moment at this image adapted from the edTPA handbook. As you can see, branching out from student learning is planning, instruction, and assessment. Under instruction, we will look at the learning environment, engaging students in learning, and deepening student learning. The learning environment. Select clips that demonstrate respect and rapport. You want to look for video that features respectful interactions between your students and you, as well as among your students, and that contains evidence that you have created a learning environment that challenges your students. You also want to look for video that demonstrates how you support your students in learning, as well as challenge them to learn at a deeper level. Engaging students. Select clips that demonstrate how you engage students while teaching. You want to select clips that show how you probe their thinking and/or facilitate students in probing each other's thinking. Please note that lessons that require students to only focus on recall of facts or to practice a narrow set of skills are not appropriate choices for the edTPA learning segment or video. Deepening student learning. Select clips that show how you elicit and build upon student responses during instruction. You want to look for video that highlights how you prompt, listen to students, and respond in such a way that you are supporting them to build on their new learning. You also want to select clips that contain activities that represent an opportunity for students to display or further their depth of understanding. Let's take a moment to briefly review the video specifications. You are required to collect consent forms from all students and adults who appear in your video clips. This is your professional responsibility. Do not include the name of the state, school, or district in your video, and according to handbook guidelines, use only first names for individuals appearing in your video. Your submitted clips must consist of a continuous scene without any edits. However, you will need to use editing tools to extract a clip from the longer video you record. The use of titles, opening and closing credits, music, audio enhancements, or special effects are not allowed on your video clips. You are not required or expected to create a professional quality video. However, the quality of your video must be sufficient for scorers to understand what happened in your classroom. You and your students should be seen and heard on the video clips. Read your edTPA handbook carefully to be sure that the clips are the appropriate length and feature the teaching and learning emphasis for your specific subject area. It is recommended that you keep your video approximately 10 seconds less than the required time limit to prevent exceeding the limit. You are not required to use all of the time that is allotted to you. Your video must include what you need the reviewers to see. Use the time wisely. Think quality, not quantity. Do not include video for the sake of filling up time. Refer to your edTPA handbook to be sure that you are including the necessary components in your video, and discuss your concerns you may have with your instructor. As soon as you have completed clipping your video, upload your video file to the Live Text File Manager, then save a backup copy in another location. The free video editing software that comes with most computers is adequate for preparing and saving your clip or clips in a required format. Refer to your handbook for a list of these formats. There are PC and Mac labs in Ball Hall on the main campus, as well as on the Lambeth campus. You can refer to the university's website seen below for hours and additional lab locations. It is important to note that if you are submitting multiple video clips, you will likely need to repeat the clipping and exporting process to obtain separate video files for each of them, as separate files are needed for proper submission of your edTPA. Saving your video in an acceptable format is necessary for a successful upload. Refer to your edTPA handbook for a list of the acceptable formats. Also check that your file size falls within the guidelines outlined in your edTPA handbook. Do not delete the memory card that was issued to you. Follow the directions you have been given for returning your camera, equipment, and undeleted memory card. And finally, make sure that you remove all video off the computer that you use. The following are a few commonly asked questions. Number 1. If my camera cuts off unintentionally, does that create a clip end? Yes, unfortunately, once a camera stops, even if it's briefly, it separates one continuous strip of video into two parts, and in other words, two clips. Number 2. My volume is difficult to hear. Can I enhance it? No, unfortunately you cannot edit your video in any way. You are required to submit raw footage. This includes your audio. You will need to determine if the quality of your audio is sufficient enough for a reviewer to pick up on what they need. If not, you may need to select another portion of video. Number 3. How close to the time limit do I need to get? Just enough to cover all that you are required to cover in your video without going over the limit. Remember quality, not quantity, and remember that it is recommended for you to seek to run 10 seconds short in order to prevent from accidentally going over your time limit. Number 4. Do I need to erase my camera card? No, do not erase your camera card. Number 5. What do I do with my camera and equipment once I'm done? Please return all of your equipment, including your unerased camera card, according to the instructions that you have been given by your instructor. And finally, if you have any additional questions or concerns regarding the edTPA, discuss them with your instructor as soon as possible. For official information regarding all aspects of your edTPA, refer to your edTPA handbook as well as your copy of Making Good Choices, a support guide for edTPA candidates. Information contained in this presentation was adapted from Making Good Choices, a support guide for edTPA candidates, and the learning graphic was adapted from the edTPA handbook.